Hi there, Daniel here again. Welcome to the fifth and final videos of our recommended workflows video series. Congratulations for reaching this stage, and right after this is where you will start the final step of your execution process, and that would be crafting your content. So as you can see, I want to share a little bit of the principle when it get to this stage. First of all, a lot of beginners who just started SEO, you will fall into the trap of thinking that doing SEO is just about writing, or doing SEO is just about keyword research, or doing SEO is just about technical on page. Those are all of the things that need to be done, but it's just a part of an entire journey of things you have to do out of your checklist. So as I was sharing all the way to this point, it takes all the other four steps until you reach the stage where you can start crafting your content. So a lot of people, when you go into SEO, you think that, okay, I'm just gonna start writing. I'm just gonna find some keyword and I just craft my keywords and hopefully it will rank. So you see, SEO is a very long and like tedious game, right? It's a long game. It's a long investment, and it requires a lot of effort. And because of it is a long game, and you don't see the result after like 6 to 8 months. That is exactly the reason why it's needs proper research, it needs proper planning, and it needs proper strategy. You need proper understanding of the whole gameplay, right? Who is the player that are gonna be in this game? Ranking a few keywords, it doesn't mean that you win in this game, right? You go into SEO, you have to have a mindset of a long-term winning. And also, because it's the long-term, you cannot carry a short-term mindset into it. It's not like running ads. You see the result right away. And you don't expect that when you have the result, it will just instantly die, right? Once you rank a certain keyword, and if you do all this thing right, you will be able to sustain that ranking, and you will consistently have the traffic, organic traffic and conversion go into your website, right? So SEO essentially is a discipline of following sequential steps taken before reaching the writing part, right? It requires you starting from forming a topic cluster, right? Forming a map of different topic cluster, a map of multiple topic cluster, even if you have a bigger website, right? You need that in order to establish your expertise level to Google. You have to care about Google, the game, the play is the player who control the game, and then you have to do proper keyword research. Why you choose a keyword over the other? What keyword fit with what stage of that process? And then you group those and start to form your article list. And then when you start having your article list, you really have to build an outline for each of the article. And only when you're done with those and you're done with all this proper planning and research and whatever things in between, like even on page, technical on page, our tool doesn't even touch that. But that's another segment in which you also have to carry over. Only then you'll get to this stage. And when you get to here, SEO writing is a bit different from other form of writing, like free flow, fictional writing, you're writing for other entertainment. SEO writing require a little bit more discipline. You have to have a checklist, right? You can't just, even get to this stage, you can't just simply go in and write whatever you want, right? There's a certain things in place that you need to worry, and you need to check off. There's a list of things you need to check off to make sure that your content, when you publish, are properly put together, right? So in these videos, I will go through three parts. The first is the checklist in which you will have to go through when you start writing a piece of content, right? And this will broken down into three things. The first thing is three pillars. The first pillar is user-friendly writing checklist. This to help you answer whether or not your writing is user-friendly enough. Second is SEO writing checklist. It will help you know that there are certain rules when it comes to SEO writing, and you want to check it off your list. And finally, that would be quality content checklist. You want to make sure that the quality of the content are well and valuable and quality, so that when it comes out, not only Googlebot go in, they recognize that, but your users will also see that as well, right? So that's the first part of these videos. I will go through this checklist. Second part would be I will go into in-app sharing, how you can utilize our GPT-3 AI assistant to help you accomplish all of those things in the checklist and at the fastest time possible, and yet still retain your originality, your thinking, your value inside, right? And that I will go into the second part. Also, how you can utilize our plagiarism checker to build into that part. And finally, it would be sharing link for collaboration. And finally, I will want to share with you some final sharings from our own experience when we run our SEO content agency. Right? There's a few sort of just tips that we found it a fundamental truth throughout the years of us doing things, right? And with that, without further ado, let me get directly into the first part, which is a checklist. Right, so SEO content writing checklist. We've done a lot of research on this, and we find that this is probably one of the most effective and optimal checklists anyone could use. Even the advanced users, intermediate, or our beginners, you can go into. As the way they form it is such a very intelligence layout, right? They focus on three the most important pillar, because you don't want to find checklists that just have too many things. Too many things on checklist just make you feel like it's a lot harder for you to craft, right? And also it's really unnecessary. You want to find those that focus on the right things, right? Focus on things that matters. And I find that this checklist really tick that box, right? Let's go in it. The first things you can see here is user-friendly writing checklist. So in user-friendly writing checklist, they have a few questions. First of all, does the content deliver what the page title says it will? So this one, it means that you want to make sure whatever content you write, it has to align directly with the title in which you create in the outline content part. This is, again, come back to the theme when I say earlier, and that is the consistency between your content direction and the content theme that you have. Is the page title exciting enough to click on? So you want to make sure that whatever title that you put in, it has to be sexy enough, right? It has to have that vibe where user, when they read it, they want to click on it. It's like a clickbait title, right? But don't go all the way there. Do the headings support the story from headings to headings? So essentially what it means is that you want to make sure every headings there will support the story that you try to craft. You cannot just simply have one heading write on one thing and then the other heading write about the other, completely not connected, right? So those, whatever headings that you lay out, it has to be a series of things of content that support your whole story of the piece of content that you are trying to focus on. Do you have run-on sentence or large stuffy paragraph? Does your reader like run-on sentence and large stuffy paragraph? So it's just a grammar thing, right? Making sure that when you write certain things, you want to make sure that you meet all grammatically standard, because Google they know this. They notice all these things. They want to see if your sentence is run-on and it's too long, like five lines or above, they will definitely consider that as unuser-friendly. Do you add internal links to relevant piece of content on your website? Do you link to external pages too? Why does this matter? It matters because when you have an internal links to relevant piece of your content in your website, it shows Googlebot that you want to keep your user engaged, and you have other content that support, become like a map. Like I said, come back to the topic cluster or the cluster of content idea, is that you want to make sure your users constantly get the values that they need. So if you go into nutrition plan and you keep writing about it, you will see, for example, users should see things about sleep, things about metabolisms, and that should link directly and to another pieces where user can click on and they will guide through that. Learn from Healthline. Go into Healthline, check out their content. You'll see the way they build their internal linking. Great. It's so amazing. Secondly, did you have link to any external pages too? External pages essentially is to show Google that you care about the source of information you get. For example, if you external a certain for example, you write about nutrition plan, you quote a certain quote to someone who has a lot of status, a higher status, a lot of authority, or to a domain that have really high authority in the same segment. Let's say you write on your blog and you quote from Healthline, for example. And when you have external linking to that, it means that Googlebot notice right away that you care about this content, and you care about truth, you care about trustworthiness, and you want to make sure that whatever users who they read this content, they will be able to access the source of the information as well. Right? Do you use keywords in your image file name? Is each image file as small as possible? Did you check how the content looks across all devices? Right? So some of the image that you have to make sure that you also include the keyword in there as well, because it creates the story flow well connected with not only image to headings to paragraph, all aligned together through the use of your keyword that you're targeting. Right? And you want to make sure that you optimize your image. You don't want to upload an image that's 5 megabytes, right? Just make your website load a lot slower. And by loading slower, it just makes things a lot harder for users to have a good experience on your site. Is the call to action, what the reader need to do next, clearly defined? So another thing, make sure that whatever call to action you have, well and clearly defined, should put it in a color that is make user want to click, so on and so forth. The second checking writing list will be the SEO writing list. How many times did you mention your primary keywords? How many times you mention your secondary keyword? Do competitors mention the keyword more or less than your content does? Are they ranking high on those keywords with the piece of content? This come back to step 2. This is where you did all your planning. This is where you decide on your list of keyword to include, right? And from there, where you know what your primary keyword is, and typically that would be the keyword you chose in your title. You have to include that in your title, right? And but secondary keyword would be all the keyword that you find in your list of cluster that you have in step 3. Import that in, include that in, place them in strategically throughout your content. And do competitor mention the keyword more or less than your content does? This is why we have in step 2 competitor keywords, right? It shows right away those keywords that your competitor are focusing on. And those are keywords that are justified and validated by Google keyword database too. So having those also appearing across your content, and those keywords have to support the content, the direction of your content, right, will immensely help you to show Google and to show your users that you are doing things right. Did you naturally include keyword in? First of all, you have to include keyword in your title. You also need to include in the first 100 words. This should be probably in your description or so. In your anchor text, you have to include the keyword in your headings. And a lot of time in the headings, it could be just keyword that you pull from Google Suggest inside, right? And that's where you answer, it's an answer question form. And that's where you answer the question from a user. Having that in headings just make it a lot easier for Google to scan, and perhaps they may turn you into all feature snippets. That's where when you search and you have a question people also ask right there, that's because you will align your headings to this as well. URLs also, you have to include the keyword without over optimizing and keyword stuffing. This come back to the point where I say Google is smart enough now to understand where is a line between overly include or include strategically. Right? If you just try to stuff a lot of keyword in there, that day is over. I mean, before 2012, maybe that works. But now, Googlebot gets so smart, and they not only understand that from your content, and they will consider that extremely unuser-friendly, and your content will not be rated very high, but also you will lose the chance to rank for other things in your website as well. So make sure you don't do that. Did you include any long tail keyword? Did you include any in your headings? Well, come back to our golden filter too. It's all come back to here, right? Do you have similar page title for previously published content? Could you potentially be competing against yourself for this keyword? Make sure that, because when you start writing a lot of different content, This is where planning go hand in hand. Because when you know each article, what keyword should include, you do not want to repeat yourself in other article as well. Because if you do that, it will just confuse Google. Googlebot, when they go in one content, they go to the other and they start seeing like, hey, how come you have two content pieces targeting for the same keyword? What are they going to do now? Making Google more confused are not going to help your content to rank faster. Is the URL short, sweet, and not oversaturated with keywords? Well, make it short. Make it very concise and to the point. Do not try to extend your URL to like 5,000 word long, right? Google do not like that. And this come back to your sitemap planning too. You want to make sure that the way you structure your URL should fit really well with the theme of the sitemap that you try to build. Does the meta description clearly identify what the content is about? Is meta description between 138 to 148 characters? Do you include the most important info and keyword within the first character of 100 character of the meta description? This one come back to our planning in step 1. We already have in there, first of all, if you use our AI assistant, we already tell the AI to limit the word count or character to the perfect or optimal amount, right? And we also have the number in there to make sure that you don't go overboard with that. And having keyword include is the very good practice, because that's how Google, when they rank your website, your keyword will be in bold, right? When you write really good meta description, the chance that Google rewrite your meta description and title will become a lot less. But if you simply try to just write and include and stuffing your keyword in there, there's a very high chance that Google will probably rewrite your meta description. Always try to write the best meta description, include all the things in this in the checklist to make sure that it is SEO optimized. Are you solely chasing after green light or optimizing for both the users and bot? Wow, look at that. And this article coming from SEO search engines journal guide, right? And this is just really highlight our philosophy, and it just validate our philosophy. You need to optimize for both. You know, the rule of thumbs here is you have to satisfy both Googlebot, Google standard, Google requirements, and you have to satisfy your users as well. You can't just simply do one or the other, right? It just won't make sense. Well, finally is quality content checklist. So in quality content checklist, there's a few things. First, did you cover the topic in detail, offering a unique perspective or adding information that isn't found on similar published content? What it means is you want to make sure whatever the stuff, this is where it comes to your users here, right? The topic that you offer or the things that you're about to write about, make sure that it has unique perspective. It has something, a USP onto it. It grabs user attention. Why? Because user engagement is the determining factor of your sustainability in your ranking. A content, if you get ranked, well, Google does this a lot. Suddenly you see a piece of your content rank right away. Like you could see a jump in ranking. You probably were 50 last week and suddenly this week you jump on 2 or 3, right? And you're like celebrating, smiling and being so happy. But you suddenly see that it doesn't last. It stayed there for about a week and then it dropped out of top 10. Why does that happen? Well, it happens because Google does this rotational testing thing where they will test it temporary for your content to get on top. And when you get on top, you start seeing traffic going to your site. And Google will instantly measure the user engagement with that piece of content. They were trying to figure out, okay, how long does the user stay on that site? Do they actually read the content? What is their scrolling rate? Did they click on any CTA? Did they click on any internal linking? Did they click on any external linking, right? Did they find this content valuable? If it's not, you will not be on top 1. Google is smart. They know what they're doing. And that's why they stay in the game and being the best. So you have to really think very carefully before you start crafting your content, making sure that it will give your end user a valuable insight, right? Does the content provide original information that you or your team personally research? Again, this comes back to the unique selling point that you try to provide to your end users. This is really important. right? Is the information that you provide factually correct? If someone fact check your content, would they find any discrepancy or issue within fact or sources? Are you source properly linked to the original source of information? You have to be very clear. You have to be concise. You have to be very prepared for these kind of things, right? Don't just simply write. I can't stress this enough, right? A lot of people use AI tool, use this, click, 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 get things. Oh, I rank. And you think that's a successful SEO campaign. It's not. SEO campaign successful, you will draw millions, hundred thousands of traffic if you do it right. And one keyword will support the other, right? You get 1,000 of really good long tail keyword rank. That will boost up your trustworthiness. And the next keyword you want to rank, will get a lot faster and a lot faster. And you continually make sure that your content are valuable and well put together. You will consistently get it rank more and more. That's the long-term game. It's not about ranking few keywords, right? Is this the kind of content you would feel proud of if it was shared by other brand or went viral? Does the content include elements that would satisfy each persona? Have you identified which persona type you're trying to target with this piece of content? What format would you serve both the persona and topic best? Video, blog, graphic, heavy image use, heavy text use, etc. This is about know your customer, which I will go a bit more details in my final tip sharing in these videos. This is going to be a bit longer of a videos, but I think it's very necessary because it's all about execution now. Okay, so that is the checklist. We'll have this checklist also include in the file of on the dashboard. So in the dashboard, you'll see a button called workflow template. You click on that, there will be a workflow template. Click on the template. It will lead you to a Figma file. Under the step file, you'll find this checklist. And we're trying to include this checklist as well as also the link to the checklist itself and the description and explanation for the details in this checklist for you to follow. All right, so let's move to the third part of the videos. Okay, in this third part of the videos, I will go in details of how you can utilize our integration with OpenAI, our AI assistant, to help you build and craft this kind of content. A detailed videos you can find in our library, tutorial library here, and you can find under how to, and there is where I share in details of all the definition, the button, what you can expect when you go through this tool. So go into that and explore these features. I think that this is one of the most powerful really application of OpenAI. It's not about rewrite it for you, but it's about enhancing your writing experience. It's about helping you, assisting you in completing a piece of content that typically would take you like hours to write. But with this help, you are able to explore, you have to be able to expand, you are able to just finish and finalize a piece of content in such a short time. So let's go into it. First of all, Access AI Assistant. We build in 60 plus templates specifically to help with your content writing part, right? In content writing, we break them down to 4 types of template. First is auto write. These are all the templates that help you write and expand on your original idea. So you can see here, auto write, you have paragraph, like paragraph introduction. If you have a paragraph here and you'd like to add an introduction, use this. Paragraph answer. So if you have a question and you would like expand it into a paragraph long answer, and you just you have a writer blocks and you have a certain idea, but you would like to see some other option, use this one. Next, paragraph. If you have a paragraph and you would like to expand from that paragraph and see what next that you can write about, use this one. Blog introduction, this one just to start a blog. Text finisher, if you have a piece of content and you would like to finish it. For example, if the AI write but in the middle it stopped, you can actually highlight that part and have that in text finisher. Text summarizer, there's a part of paragraph or content somewhere on the web that you find that it would be great to summarize this into smaller and to put that in your content, use this one. Explaining is like sometimes you want to add on a definition in your content, use definition. Explain why. Sometimes you have a why questions. Use this template to make sure that you are able to expand on the content in which your users' search intent may have. Second is outlines. These are all of the template that we build to support your outline building process. This should be used a lot more in step 1 and shouldn't be used a lot in step 3. We put in step 3 because sometimes you will need some brainstorming session before you continue your next paragraph. For example, you have a questions and you want a bullet point answer, and from the bullet point answer, perhaps you will be able to put that into a paragraph. You can use it in here, right? Paragraph 2 question, paragraph 2 conceptualize that feature benefit. Sometimes in the middle of your writing, you want to see what are the benefits I may be able to extend from this. Use this one. So again, very much on outline oriented kind of template, but it works great still if you can utilize that in your writing part. Third would be rewrite. Rewrite is where you just rewrite, either explain it to a child. So simplify a certain piece of content so that you want to, for example, you copy it from somewhere that just sounds too complicated and you want to make it simpler to put in your content. Use this one. Text rewriter, sometimes the content good out just not as good as you wish. You just want it to be rewritten in a way that is either shorter, more concise, or just more creative. Use our text rewriter. And the fourth type of category are transitional category, and that is where we build in directly into the tool. Simply highlight, for example, let's have a piece of content here. Just highlight whatever you want to do. Click on AI shortcut. You'll see a transitional here. You also will be able to access all of the other template here to play around direct in there, but transition is right in here. And here you will be able to see all kind of transition. Either it's addition, contrast, sequence, conditions, result, summary. All of these are in there for you to extend on your content directly in the text editor. So those are the 4 AI assistant for templates that you can utilize. The final one, which I'm very proud of with my team doing, is our own. We built this template called bullet to paragraph, and we use such incredible AI technology that is kind of always able to generate amazing output. So this is where I say building a good outline on step 1 will save you so much time in step 3. If you build a really good outline step 1, in step 3 just click a button. You'll be able to see how an AI kind of compile that information together, and you'll find yourself having a paragraph. And from that paragraph, you can copy that, put that into your writing, expand it using other template. You see, it's right here. You can just put that into underneath the here, and you just kind of build it around about this part. Here you feel like you want to continue writing, you can just click write for me. Write for me is another template that will help in here. You see, that's continued writing. Another cool things that we build is that we allowed you to do two type of input. So either you can highlight a piece of content and use this as an input. So you can hover into the EI here. Only highlighted text will be used as an input, or you could just simply right click and you have all the text above will be input. Right? That will help you a lot when it comes to expanding or play around with our AI assistant. Okay, so that are the 4 type of templates that we thought is great to help you in writing the content pieces. The second thing is you can utilize our share button. So click on share to share it with your freelancer, with your writers. You can set on the allowance for them. Either should they see competitors? Can they check your plagiarism using your account? What is the related questions? So just use the URL and they will be able to utilize that. I'm sure you know about this. And finally, would be utilize our plagiarism checker built-in. Once you finish writing a piece of content, it's very important for you to check for its originality, see if it's copied from anywhere, particularly if you use AI assistant. Sometimes, and a lot, the AI will actually take a piece and bit from the internet to put that into your content. So making sure that when that happens, highlight that part, have it rewritten, and put that back into your content if you like. Right? So make sure your content are always original. Having it really handy, really is having a plagiarism check built-in are super handy. So I highly recommended that. All right, so that is that on the second part, our third part, where I go into how you can utilize our AI assistant to write your content and also the checklist before you go into writing content. Now let's go into the final part where I'll just do a bit of sharing on some of the tips, some of the, I think, fundamental rules when it comes to content writing we have gathered over the years of doing this. So first of all, please know your customer. Like in the checklist, in the final part where it's going to quality content, know your customer. Who are they? You know them best, right? What is their pain point? What is their persona? Are they in, what demographic are they in, right? Are they more heavy text reader? Are they light text reader? Because this will determine the way you write your piece of content. If you write about health stuff, write long form. If you write about, let's say, exercise, write short form. If you write about meal sharing, write short form. You know, less text, more image. You know your clients and customer best. Please know your customer, right? The more you understand about your audience, the better it is for you to make sure they're engaged, you know, and the more they engage, the longer your tool and content will stay up on the top rank. Second, know the story flow of your article, right? Not only within the article, but know where that article is in the funnel that you built, right? In every funnel, you have a top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel. Your article could be top of the funnel. Make sure you link it to a middle of the funnel article, and make sure the middle article link it again back to the bottom of the funnel. It has to become almost like a flow, right? Because the job isn't just about organic traffic. It's also about conversion. And there's no better way to build a really strategic funnel with the article that you write. And third, tool can only get you so far. You are the one. You are the factor of success. Your understanding, your ability to research, your ability to compile knowledge from multiple points, multiple data points, and your planning and your strategy and your execution are what make your campaign successful, not tool. You know, tool can only support and assist. So don't overestimate tool and underestimate your ability. Keep it real. I guess that's to be the term. Making sure that you combine tool and your ability and your research and understanding and your knowledge. That's how you can build this all together, right? And finally, 20-80 rules. Focus on the 20% of data and the things you can control, things that matter. Focus on that, and you will be able to accomplish that 80% in no time, right? Don't try to do everything all the time, right? A lot of tools out there, a lot of people out there just try to do so much link building, try to write so much, but they neglect the process of planning, the process of researching. If you do all these things and you do it properly and fundamentally right, you will rank. You will rank, right? So that is all into these videos. This has already been so long. Thank you very much for being patient with me. But finally, I just want to say thank you very much for reaching to this point of our recommended workflows. Good luck, and please, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, we post a lot of videos in educational videos to help you accomplish your SEO goals, as well as subscribe to our social media, newsletter, and all of the other things. The checklist and the workflow template will be available in our dashboard again. Right on top of the recommended, there's a button as the workflows. Click on that. The checklist will also be in there for you to follow. Okay, so best of luck. Thank you very much, and I hope you all success in your SEO SEO journey.